Before we start, can I just vent briefly?
Yes, I would love to hear you circulate air.
Emergency meeting.
To be fair, it is about an imposter among us. So I don't know if you know about is it Bassett's? They make the fruit gum things.
Yes.
Yes.
So they
make licorice, don't we?
yeah the midget gems that have licorice in. Can they fuck right off, please?
I thought this was going to be a serious bit.
Can they
Let's
fuck
go into the podcast?
Can they fuck off with the licorice, please? I bought those expecting fruit gums, and what the fuck is this toxic shit in my bag of sweets? Welcome to Fact versus Fiction, where I fucking hate licorice.
I, on the other hand, I tolerate it. I need it. I need licorice.
Although I will say the first time I had the kind of sweets you're talking about, I did expect them to be
Blackcurrant
flavored.
You expect
It's
that?
just a goddamn hypothetical.
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
it's-
no, it's not a
on
hypothetical. It's
licorice.
me
No,
trying
no,
to
your
indict a
opinion on
crusade
licorice,
on
Matt.
licorice.
And it's hate on licorice.
Your
Yes.
opinion
This
on
is
licorice,
licorice hot
Matt.
takes.
Keep up with the drama. Come on. What do you think about it?
I haven't had licorice midget. I don't like licorice, so I guess I would hate them. I haven't had midget gems in years.
Good man.
Right.
Join the crusade.
That's 2 for 2 then.
Anyway.
It could be the last.
So that's a draw on the licorice debate.
Anyway, to draw a line in the sand on the licorice debate.
Aw.
Welcome to Fact versus Fiction. I'm your host for this week, Matt, and this week is special week. The first time I'm ever introducing a special week, probably. I don't know.
Possibly the last.
Yay.
There are no rules.
Oh god, that's gonna
That's what
be.
we always say about.
Do I need to put a warning in for the viewers?
Like, whoa, 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 and you can't do that.
Sorry, my WUV machines are out of control.
I'm not your wub
My
machine.
wub-
Remember what happened last
It's
time?
like he's saying love machine, but really like a cutesy. My what machine?
Oh no, that's ruined it.
Yeah.
I am, as always, joined by my fellow co-hosts, John.
Ooh, he said co-hosts. We have the power too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
it's not my podcast.
What is Fact versus Fiction? I'm now the new host.
He's got my host button quickly.
To be fair, that technically means 3 out of 4 of us have introed this podcast this week.
Yeah. But not Tom.
Oh. Well, we
Okay.
might as well make it a full house.
And
Yeah.
as always as well, we have Tom.
Hi, welcome to Fact or Fiction, the coronavirus debate.
No, that's not our podcast.
We
For anyone who's
have
tried
proposed
looking this
to
up
name
on Spotify, basically, when you search
It was,
Fact versus Fiction, it's our pod.
No,
Still no.
it was because I tried to ask my Google thing to play the
Yeah.
podcast, and that's what it played instead.
Well, they won't if they're looking it up on YouTube or iTunes. It doesn't pop up then.
No, it comes up on iTunes. It comes on the
No
iTunes podcast. And
No
Spotify.
phones in podcasting
Oh,
class.
If
It's the second one up there. And of course, the
If you
final
listeners-
voice with us is Corby.
Fuck licorice. Join the crusade.
yeah,
And now we.
if listeners
Oh,
still do think that they're listening to a coronavirus factual discussion show and they're this far in,
why the fuck is John getting food now? It's bloody 8. Why is he eating so late?
I thought you said, why is he
Gotta
eating so
consume.
late?
You don't eat past 12.
It's like gremlins. Don't yeet them past 12 and don't yeet them, don't wet them, and don't...
Why is a wet nurse called a wet nurse?
too wet.
Too nurse, too wet.
That's a good question, actually. I'm not sure what the actual...
Because moist nurse and damp nurse don't sound great.
the moist nurse.
Moist nurse.
Come up.
It's like-
No,
It
she
just sounds like
do
you're
that.
saying moistness. I feel like the moist nurse is a fucking Goosebumps villain.
Well, I mean,
Fucking
provided
like it's
that's
the
all
ghost
you
of a-
think it is, that's fine.
It's a ghost of a nurse who like drowned in the swamp that's outside the family home, and at night she crawls out of the swamp and like she has a syringe and she just sort of stands ominously in the garden.
The wrong place
There's a-
for a
there's a-
nurse to stand. I don't think when
Where's
I
the-
think nurse, I don't think garden swamp.
See, that's where you're wrong,
Well,
Matthew. That's where most nurses are
that's where she
needed.
drowned. Because she went to deal with a drowning case and
Yes, those
saved the
briefcases
person
are
who was
always getting
drowning.
into trouble.
But you know, maybe she was like a family friend, but happened to be off duty, but passing
I
nearby.
don't know if nurses
She
are
saw-
trained to save drowning people.
But if you were a nurse and you saw someone drowning, you would probably go and try and help. them.
Hypothetically, if this
Even if you
nurse was
weren't a
also
nurse,
a
I would
lifeguard,
assume-
then
That's she was a lifeguard. She wouldn't have drowned.
She was.
Because that's a common
She had
thing.
many
That's
talents.
a common thing with people who go to save drowning people. Usually drown as well because they don't know what
Yeah.
they're doing.
She has many jobs.
jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly. She's
But better than a
she's
master of
a
one
bard.
is the full phrase of that.
Huh.
No, I don't know. Like,
Second half of that phrase has been erased
I don't
over
know
time,
if I
but the full
agree
phrase
with that,
is
though, 'cause, like, Jack,
better than a master of one, because it's better to be a little good at a lot of things than like very good at one thing but shit at everything else. It's like putting all your eggs in one basket.
then why would you have the master of none point? Because that just feels redundant in the sentence.
Well, you got to rhyme.
To be fair,
Got to
Jack of all
fit
trades
those
better
beats.
than one would work. Like that's we're criticizing
I
age-old,
don't think it-
age-old.
how old is this?
Whatever these
How
are.
old is this expression?
God, it's like what's the second half of the curiosity killed the cat expression?
But satisfaction brought it back.
Jesus, what they're doing to the cat?
Satisfying,
I don't know.
clearly.
Fucking Dr. Frankenstein's over there doing something to
Get
it.
off the cat.
Also, the blood is thicker than water. The full phrase of that is something like blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb. So it actually means relationships formed through choice rather than through familial connection that you have no choice
People
over
have
are more
hijacked
valuable.
the phrase to say blood is thicker than water, meaning family, but that's not what it means.
Yeah, the way that phrase is colloquially used nowadays is completely the opposite of its original intention.
That was driven right in to the body with an axe.
As
Oh, yeah,
John
believe
does.
Are we back on my nurse horror
Yes, we can
story?
go back to your nurse horror story now.
Oh no, that bit's staying in.
The nurse horror.
Yeah,
God.
that's how they kill her in the end. They drive an axe right into her.
Well, because there's one
Remove
place
the
that
curse
nurses
from the
can't
swamp.
go. It's indoors.
Nurses have to be invited in, otherwise they can't.
vampires, Tom.
cross the threat.
Hypothetically, this.
Why are they always asking for your blood?
I'm gonna say, hypothetically,
You've
this
got your
lifeguard nurse could also be a vampire.
We can't use that word. It's a special.
What lifeguard?
Yes.
As we all know, it's illegal to talk about lifeguards. In and around.
On Special Week, there's no rules and no lifeguards. Those are the two rules we have for Special
That's
Week.
because lifeguards follow rules.
Well, lifeguards can
And-
save your life. but
And
they
this
should be able to
podcast
end
is
it too.
basically
Make
drowning in
lifeguards-
slow motion, so.
Make lifeguards judge, jury, and executioner. They're the
Lifeguards.
only ones who can judge your life worthy.
Are you saying you'd rather be in court and have a lifeguard judge you than a judge?
Yes.
Yes,
I mean, I would
because I might get
that would
away
be
with
an
it if it's a
entertaining
lifeguard.
court day.
I've done no sea
I am
crimes as far as I'm
imagining-
aware.
I hope we're all imagining like a ladder up on top of where the judge usually sits, and the lifeguard is sat up at the top.
I will sit upon my high chair and judge you.
I'm-
100%,
Got a great
yes.
view of the lights in the courtroom.
Oh, speaking of lights, that is a wonderful segue into my topic. So,
Ooh,
with your gentlemen,
the history of light.
it's got some time in it.
Times New Roman.
Anyway,
It's got some Times New Roman, boys. Let's
well,
go.
it's all about Times New Roman font. Just where did it come from? What does it want? Who's in it?
Why did it make
Why
Ariel
is
a
it?
bitch?
No,
Well, The Little Mermaid.
we saw a very different film. Anyway, this evening, I'm going to take you on a journey to a very special location. One that's close to my heart and my presence. Somewhere I'm sat right now. It's home to the renowned TV show that never got made, One Small Town, and its acclaimed director.
I mean, I don't rate him. He's fine.
What would
He
you-
is a bit pompous
what
at
would
times.
you give him out of 10? If you had to rate the director of One Small Town.
I mean, they do. I mean, they do call him the Tarantino of Yorkshire.
Huh.
Oh,
Just wait until Drake gets the N-word pass in episode 11.
oh God. of the section of land known as Rombold's Moor, Ilkley Moor rises 402 meters, or 1,319 feet for our US listeners, above sea level. It is bleak but beautiful. Its landscape spreading for miles around in all directions. But it wasn't always this way. Back over 325 million years ago, Ilkley was deep swampland. Just...
I think we know the setting for that nurse story I was pitching.
It's a very old nurse story. That's what I'm talking about today, Tom. I'm talking about the nurse story.
I was about to say, I swear to God, if this is another fucking wildcat, I'm gonna get up and leave.
I think I've double booked, Matt. I'm talking about the nurse story too.
Wait, are you talking
Wet
about
curse
the
of the
nurse
wet
story?
nurse.
Oh.
Also,
was-
Curse of the Wet Nurse is definitely the title of this episode.
I'll give it a minute. Give it a minute.
Ilkley was deep in swampland and filled with giant insects in the age of the Carboniferous. And then it's from here that Ilkley Moor developed into a big forested area which has had people living in it since the Stone Age. And then it used to be a lot more heavily forested, like a lot of England used to be. But a lot of that started getting cut away in the Bronze Age. And then when you get to the Iron Age, you had a tribe known as the Brigantes, who they're important in Roman
important.
history, and I can't remember what they did, but they did some stuff.
We did stuff, goddammit.
That's
It
like
involved cutting down a lot of trees.
that is literally all the Romans. Let's be real. Romans, they did stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. The Romans did leave their mark on Ilkley. They turned up and did their thing at about 79 AD.
Drowned a
A
nurse.
1970s police officer.
did that
Well,
thing.
well, what's going on here then? It's like they just turned up and did their thing. Obvious then.
Evidence still remains of the Roman fort Olicana, with stones that date from the reigns of Emperor Antoninus Pius, not Antoninus Pinnus, as somebody has pronounced it.
Penis? What?
You heard me.
Antonius Penis.
The well-known Roman Emperor Antonio Penis. One for the history books.
What a cock he was.
As well as Emperors Septimius Severus and his son Caracalla. Ilkley is perhaps most well known, however, as a spa town, with stunning Victorian architecture, as well as White Wells, which is a house that sits on the moor itself, which provided hydropathic relaxation to people such as Charles Darwin, who stayed there in 1859 while The Origins of Species was being published. Because, I guess it was a stressful time with the church coming for him. And they were coming for him. Jesus was on his case.
I will say, Matt, who's paid to do this ad for Ilkley, and when do they get onto the Crescent and their lovely burgers? Anyway,
Don't worry, it's relevant. It's all relevant.
I do like the idea that Charles Dickens was... Not Charles Dickens, Charles Darwin
Charles
was...
Dickens did The Origins of
genuinely
Species.
angered so many nerds. The science nerds and the writing nerds. It's all gone to hell.
I always get them mixed up.
Do you?
Luckily, they're too nervous not to do anything, so we'll be fine.
God damn it, Charles.
But yeah, I do like the idea that he was just like, I know where they'll never find me. White Wells.
It's not even that big. It's like, he wouldn't be up there. That requires walking.
I'm not going to go get him. You see that? That's a mild inconvenience of a 10-minute
It's a
walk.
mild slope.
I'm not going up there. I heard they drowned a nurse up there.
Well, there is a pool in White Wells you could drown a man in. Even
You could drown him on any pool.
well,
What's
that's
the point?
true. Even a puddle. Even the famed Madame Tussauds and the founder of that wax museum, she visited as well. Don't know what she did, but apparently she was here at some point.
Her and her two swords.
Her and her two swords, Madame Tussauds. Definitely.
She was there to kill the web.
She was after Charles
I love
Darwin.
the idea she just turns up at a wax museum, you just hear like, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, and just like a Spanish flourish because she's a duelist.
Just got castanets on the sword pommels. She's playing when she draws them. So, continuing on. Indeed, Ilkley is a hub of history. Rombold's Moor and Ilkley boast the second largest Neolithic and concentration of Neolithic and Bronze Age carved stones in Europe, which is something I didn't know, despite having lived here most of my life.
I always think you're saying Wombles.
The Womble's Moor.
The Womble's Moor.
It might sound like a stupid question. Who the hell is Rumbled?
I will get to that right now.
Good. Good.
Oh,
Famous.
rumbled
I've got to talk about
McDumbled.
stones for a little bit first, John.
No, it's fine. I used to be an amateur geologist, which basically means I stole rocks occasionally. Anyway,
Definitely granite.
I got some snowflake obsidian. I got some malachite or malachite.
Macrolite.
Macrolite. Piss off. No,
Malachite.
I think it's a hard C, a hard
Malachite.
kite.
It's
yeah,
Malachite.
malachite sounds better.
But yes, Ilkley Moor has famous stones such as the Badger Stone, a stone I'd never seen, as well as St. Margaret's Stone, a stone I'd never seen. Though none are perhaps more well known than the swastika stone. Now, I'd like to clarify for the listeners that this is not that kind of swastika. This is a stone which has the older version of the swastika, also known as a filfot, which means many-legged in Anglo-Saxon, and it's just a weird, curvy stone. We'll get Corby to throw a picture in for the YouTube.
And was carved many, many years before.
Many years
World
before
War
the
Matt,
rise
can
of
you
the man.
can you do me a favor? Find that one for me because I'm not googling swastika stones.
John,
I will.
Back when it was a peace symbol
It was a piece.
originally.
Yeah, but that goes back to Anglo-Saxon. Well, it goes back to Bronze and Neolithic age, so it's been around for a while. It's only in recent years that it was appropriated by the Mustachio Dago of Germany.
Pretty much ruined it forever, though, didn't they?
And not far from this are also the 12 stones called the 12 Apostles, which are 12 stones thought to be an ancient druid circle.
Why am I picturing a shit Stonehenge in Ilkley?
Oh, it's pretty much a shit stone.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, I've been there
It's a shit
recently.
stone. Well, Tom's a druid, so he goes there on the weekend. He's going after that drowned nurse.
He is a druid. I saw him communicating with a squirrel once.
It's renowned. Well, Ilkley is renowned weirdly, and this is one of its stranger legends. Most people who go to Ilkley will end up seeing the Cairngorm rocks, which are said to have been formed when the giant Rombold.
Oh yeah.
The giant wombles.
The giant Wombles.
We just proved those.
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah, the moor itself is named after the giant Rombold, not Womble. He who has the moor named after it.
Uncle Bulgaria.
He used to live on the moor, and one day he was fleeing from his enemy in terror. Said enemy was his wife, who hurled various stones at him for an unknown reason.
You know what? Mood.
In Rombold's retreat, he stepped on the rock called the Cow, split off a chunk of it, and that became the calf. And that's the legend around the Cow and Calf rocks. For anyone interested, because I didn't know this either. In fact, I probably got told this once and forgot.
They've got that legend on a sign at the sort of entrance to the moor. Not the entrance, but the bit where like
we must go through the gate to the moor.
the bit where like the public car park is, where the sort of footpath starts. There's a little sign
Ticket to
that
see
has
grass.
that story on it.
Do not look at the views. You haven't paid.
I mean, you joke, but that is literally how the National Trust works.
True. It's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
You don't have to do that for Ilkley. You can just walk on the moor, and you probably won't die.
Probably.
It's a very sort of OK Boomer legend, isn't it?
Yeah.
He was fleeing from his enemy, his wife.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Whoa.
If I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd have 67p.
Ilkley is a town of class, reputation, and normalcy, where nothing weird ever happens.
Except
I
that
like how
time.
you just said reputation with no adjective
Except that
before
time,
it.
two idiots started a podcast with two outsiders.
Not quite.
Technically, I
That is
left
one
there
of the
before
weirder
this.
things that happened. In recent years, over the last century, roughly the last century, strange lights have been seen floating in the moor's fog. See, I'm bringing it back to lights. I told you I would.
Aurora
Oh,
Borealis.
I get it. The madman.
Could it be activity from the
This time of year?
nearby? Could it be activity from the nearby Menwith Hill military base? Mayhaps. Or is it a UFO?
No.
Dun, dun, dun.
Indeed.
Scully, you're not gonna believe it.
I like how it's like military aliens. We're not even contemplating the fact that it's still druids.
Yeah, the druids was just a thing I thought I'd mention.
It could still be the druids, let's be honest.
Never discount them.
Indeed. it
They're
was
biding
a
their
fog-
time.
It was a fog-filled day, much like today. It is actually quite a foggy day in Oakley today.
Sorry.
It was very foggy today.
It
Yeah.
became became
the
the
thing.
fate.
Oh, sorry.
Damn it, John!
I was just
Speak your
laughing.
piece.
I was just laughing about the thing that that's going to be the end of 2020. Someone's just going to go, "Oh shit, druids." That's going to be the end of the year. That's going to be the last hurrah.
Off topic, has anyone ever played the game The Mystery of the Druids?
No.
If
No.
you
Nope.
just Google Mystery of the Druids on a Google image search and just look at that front cover. My God.
I'll put that in the chat in the meantime. Everyone just listen to Matt.
But yeah, it was a fog-filled day, much like today, that became the fateful day as when the Ilkley Moor alien was first sighted.
Called it.
Such a good image, isn't it?
Doesn't have any.
Yes.
He doesn't have any bottom
Yeah.
teeth. Where are his bottom teeth?
Huh. That's the mystery, I guess.
Yes, it was on a day like today that the Ilkley Moor alien was first sighted. So, I'm going to set the scene. Picture it, if you will, as I describe it. It is a crisp winter morning, December 1st, 1997 to be precise. That can't be right based on some of the dates I've written. Hang on.
Was it 80?
Good
87,
start.
Maybe.
I think it might be 87. I've just written it wrong. Hang on.
Otherwise, this happened the same year that Jurassic
It
Park 2
happened
came
after
out.
the news reports. Hang on, I will be 2 secs. Let me just.
I was
87.
one.
It's 87. Okay.
I'm gonna say, if
Fucking
not,
hell.
I was one at the time.
So, picture the scene. It's a crisp winter morning, December 1st, 1987.
Oh, now you've said that, so much has changed.
Indeed. The dew on the grass is frozen. And a large fog. Large fog, a layer of fog. I guess it's a large fog. Just a single
Large fog
block of
makes sense.
large fog.
One fog.
Also known as a low cloud.
Low flying cloud. There's a layer of fog dappling the countryside. Retired police officer Philip Spencer stepped out of his house at roughly 7 a.m. with the intention to take a 1-hour walk over the moor to see his father-in-law. Seeing as it was a beautiful day, he took along his camera with him in hopes of getting good shots of the early morning light, vegetation, wildlife, that kind of thing. It was still morning, definitely morning. It was 7 a.m. It wasn't light when he left the house. Thus he
No, if
brought,
it was winter.
his a special film in his camera.
I'm
this
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm grinning like an idiot. I just can't wait to see these photos.
Oh, they're good.
Oh, I will say I've seen the photo of this before.
It's my
and
favorite
Yeah.
part
Good
of
one.
like faux alien experiences.
Is the build-up of like, hey, this is what makes you sound credible, and then they hold up what looks like a fucking wacky, wavy, inflatable arm
it's
tube
good.
man thing,
Like-
and it's just like that's
You mean-
not no.
Like
no.
what? Like in the Halloween special where Matt put in that picture of what we thought was a bin bag in a wilderness.
That was the Beast of Hackney Marshes, Tom. How dare you?
It was a man in a trench coat dogging, is what it was, Matt.
not
So
wrong.
he had packed in his camera a special film, ASA coated film, which just basically meant that it was good for low light conditions. Had a slow shutter speed on the camera, but you could actually able to see the picture. Compass in hand, he set off. Up on the moor, as the sun was rising and just kind of hitting towards its zenith towards the afternoon, he was snapping some scenery when movement hit his periphery. A bizarre creature stood waving at him before taking off of a hill. Taking off of a hill?
Oh, I gave him a cheeky little wave.
Yeah, I gave him a cheeky little wave. Spencer followed, and when this entity turned to wave at him, he snapped the picture. I'm going to show you this picture now.
It's the moment I've been waiting for.
This is a doozy. Because if you want evidence, guys, this is evidence right here. Behold!
Oh god, I've opened the original and the resolution just shat itself.
It's just such bad resolution. I will get a slightly closer image for you.
These are so bad.
Behold! The Ilkley Moor alien in its glory.
That's just the Shadow Man from SCP Containment Breach.
Love it.
What's wrong with his hands?
What's wrong with your face?
It's
Well, like any good amateur photographer, he took a picture of it, as you've just seen. The creature then vanished, presumably ran up the hill.
vanished, sets off on a brisk jog. It's like, I'm never going to keep up with him. He'll be out of my view in at least, 10, 15 minutes.
Oh.
Shit.
Vanished off the hill. Up the hill, fucking hell.
Game of chicken or wave.
Off the hill.
Only for a dome-top craft to rise over the top of the said hill seconds later and zoom off into the horizon at what has been described as a blinding speed.
Now, why didn't he get pictures of that, the bastard?
Good question. Who knows?
I think it's bullshit.
No, Spencer didn't say, wasn't really sure what to do. Like he'd just seen presumably an alien or something. He was a bit miffed, shall we say? But he headed straight into
A bit miffed.
bit miffed, yeah. He was heading straight into town, fucking hell. That was weird. Let's get to town, then we'll deal with it there.
Screw my father-in-law. The press need to know.
Well, I think he was going to his
No, I
father-in-law
know.
actually. That was the first time anyone met the Ilkley Moor alien. So,
The first.
well, yes,
Do we have more pictures or not?
no,
Aw.
maybe.
It's just so perfectly framed in that picture. No.
What do you guys think of the imagery? Do you think is
That's
it
just a-
legit what you're feeling?
That's
What's
just
the
a guy.
vibe?
That's just a guy.
I
I
believe.
guy. I think it's almost like shopped in because just the proportions just seem fucked. If that was a man, he needs medical attention. I mean,
I believe
You're gonna love something I've written later, bearing that in mind.
my belief is that it's a child in a sort of ill-fitting coat, and they are holding something in one of their hands, which is why
That
their
child
hand
has a
appears to
long
be
body.
very, very long, and it's
Not
it's on a
really.
hill, so it's a
not
strange.
really. If they're looking away from you.
Look at the thigh gap.
Could be the back
Well,
of an
that
animal.
could be that could be a low-hanging coat.
Good theory. Good theories on the
and-
animal and the person front.
It's
I
just
will swiftly debunk those, gentlemen.
How?
Well, I'll tell you right now.
He's going to introduce the Ilkley Moor alien, our first podcast guest.
Only.
Can only
Well-
communicate through waving.
It was only when Spencer returned to town or arrived in town that he started to believe shenanigans were afoot. For starters,
Oh, those
for
shenanigans.
starters, it was 10 a.m. and his watch, however, read 9 a.m. Now, does anyone remember when he set off?
7
How
a.m.
long was the walk meant to take?
An hour.
Indeed. And it's 10 o'clock, Tom. He's missing time.
But that's more than an hour.
He's missing time, gentlemen. Time.
Yeah, he had to wait for the light to get right for the photo because he's been there for 2 hours trying to get this sodding costume to fit right. And, and it's just. Oh, it took longer than I was supposed to be to get it. Okay, just good for you. Would you like a Snickers?
Needless to say, this perturbed him somewhat, and he began to suspect more had happened. An examination of his compass revealed that the polarity had been reversed, and he realized he hadn't actually seen the sun rise while he'd been on the moor. Spooky stuff, I know.
Right, well, that must have happened, but look, the fucking sun's in. Okay, fine.
Behind him. Could have been facing the other way.
Recrawling his way up the moor.
That's why it took him so long. He fucking crawled it.
Crawling along. Recalling the strange entity, he rushed to get the images in his camera developed. Upon seeing it, he took it to an expert, a local expert, who stated that it was not possible. It couldn't possibly be any known animal in the area. It just didn't match it in terms of just size, shape, proportions. He did confirm that whatever was in it was about 4 feet tall. So the child theory is feasible. That's a big child.
That's the funny thing about children, they grow.
Indeed. I don't believe
With
you,
enough
John.
direct
I
sunlight
like
and
this
water,
animal
they can
expert's
get pretty
face and
big.
just gone, well, that's not a badger, and that's it. I'm just handing it back. Like,
As we know, badgers are prolific on Ilkley Moor.
Also, profound waivers.
Indeed. Like, I'd give him a wave all the time. Well, it's obviously a womble. Like, as we established, it's Womble's
It's
Moor.
4-foot Uncle Bulgaria, yeah.
Of course.
It's Uncle Bulgaria out on the hunt. So after this, he took the image directly to Kodak. The picture was sent directly to Kodak, and they confirmed that the image had not been altered in any way. So this was when it was taken. That it hasn't been doctored or anything. That is the photo that came out the camera. So get ready for who gets involved next. It was then sent to the US for computer enhancements, and was examined by the US Navy.
okay.
If I know a group of people who are extraterrestrial experts, it's the US
boat, man.
Navy.
The boat.
What is
guess
a
it's
boat
identical.
but a UFO to a fish?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't a UFO an unidentified floating object? Surely.
No, those are USOs.
Unidentified submerged object? What
Yes.
is on the surface of the water?
They can hop. Okay. Do you want it to change terms every time it changes part of the
Yes.
atmosphere? Because
Yes,
okay,
I do.
right, cool. I got on that.
It was examined by a Dr. Bruce McCuvey. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's American. Doesn't matter. And while he felt it was promising, he did say it was a bit too grainy to be definitive. So unfortunately, we haven't got concrete evidence that this is real alien life. He was hoping for it. They were hoping this would be the kicker, but alas, no. For a while, though, however, many groups came to investigate the site, but no more sightings occurred.
Yeah.
The Daily Star eventually claimed that they had exposed the hoax, that it was an unsuspecting insurance broker who had been pictured without his knowledge. Does that look like an insurance broker?
I mean, to be fair, it does look like he could
I
be
mean-
carrying a briefcase. In his, like, in the picture in his, like, right hand. Assuming he's going up the hill.
Long hand.
Well, it's either that or just horrific amounts of tumours.
So many tumors.
It's Pyramid Head.
Oh, God.
But yeah.
Yeah, that was what they claimed. A group of Belgian investigators later analysed the case and were quoted as saying they were confused as to how it had fooled so many experienced investigators.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Someone's finally got.
Some Belgians investigated it.
Yeah, someone finally got Poirot investigated. It's like, you idiots, it's fake, and he's just left. Great. Good.
Look at it. He left the alien, mannequin on the side of a hill.
It is Le Hooks. I'll be going. This is awful.
This is
That would
The
be
shortest
250
Poirot
euro.
ever.
That would be 250 euro fee plus.
I have just found another one which is a little. I don't know how good it is in terms of size. That's not too bad in terms of size, which has a couple of renditions of the different contrasts and whatnot of the actual picture.
I
Yeah.
think it just makes it look like it was both taken in a desert and on a beach instead.
And
I'm sorry, but that does look like something's just been propped up. It's.
It does actually now. It looks like it's leaning to the.
It's listening
I
lazily to the
genuinely
left.
think he's leaned that on the rock next to it.
Mm.
Would you believe it, John? But that's a winning theory.
Yeah, because otherwise the alien's gone. How you doing? And just like,
Wave you over, yeah. Come into my
chase me,
crap.
chase me.
God, I just crossed that tab off and I saw the fucking thing of the druids again. That was horrific.
Well, yeah, it doesn't help that his mouth looks like the entrance to a void.
Oh yeah. So that seemed to be the end of the Ilkley Moor alien.
Seemed to be.
Everyone was like, yeah, no, it's fine. As far as they're concerned, it was just a photo, and that was it. Or was it? As I said, Philip Spencer was a retired police officer. Why would he risk his reputation on such a flimsy premise? And what about the lost time?
Secret gambling addictions.
Maybe this is where Tom got the inspiration for that storyline. So in March,
Oh, sorry, continue.
no.
My defense as to why he would do this is, it's Ilkley. There's piss all to do.
Just having a bit of a laugh, isn't he?
sort of final part of this.
The tsunami of rebuttals.
Is it spicy?
It's interesting.
Good enough.
In March 1988, Philip began having strange dreams, perhaps repressed memories, and was convinced to undergo regressive hypnosis. This revealed shocking new evidence inside his mind. When Philip saw the entity, he had found himself unable to move before being floated horizontally 2 feet off the ground and being taken aboard their ship, which is so specific. How did he know it was 2 feet off the ground?
Also, horizontally.
I could measure.
So, like, he was stood on the side of the thing and he just came forward as opposed to up.
Pretty much. He just standing upright and they're just tilted on his center axis.
Wait, he was standing up, not on his back. He was just standing up, just T-posing his way across the bloody moor.
Like something out of Gary's mod. T-posed for dominance.
How fast as well? Is this just like a trickle? Is this like, it's going to take forever?
It doesn't say how far they walked him. I'm imagining them walking like a dog on a leash. It doesn't say how far.
Like a balloon on the string.
Throwing the occasional stick.
An alien with a balloon. He was taken aboard the craft. Inside, 3 strange entities examined him before showing him 2 films. One displayed humanity's reckless abandon for destruction and the path it would lead them down to their ultimate doom. The other, we have no idea, because Phillips promised not to reveal its contents.
Was it Avengers Endgame? For the spoilers.
He was then taken off the craft, and then obviously had whatever they were doing to him stopped, and that was when he took the picture of the alien. What do you guys think now with the new evidence?
Sounds like aggressive timeshare marketing.
I don't...
Like, they showed, like, here's how you're going wrong. Here's how we can improve it. Put a stake in there. That's why I don't want to talk about.
I don't believe it for the one fact that the aliens didn't jack him off.
Oh, yes. Well, he never said if they didn't. So, you don't...
Did he describe these aliens, out of curiosity?
Well, interestingly enough, Corby, he did.
Do they fit into any of the 12 categories of already existing aliens,
Tell you
Matt?
what, based on the pictures, which one of the aliens do you think that is?
Well, if it was tall foot, it sure as shit ain't a tall white.
No, let's see.
It looks sort of like the typical grey alien.
Yeah, if I had to guess, a typical
eating on a
grey.
diet.
Indeed, it is indeed a short grey. Or as the description matches a short grey.
I like that aliens share their type names with
really
cats.
nice.
Short. I've yet to meet a tall white cat.
It looks more like I'd say if it was type of alien, it's the type of alien that's a balloon from Clinton cards, but sure.
It's fake! It's a phony!
You big fat phony.
Phillips described the alien as 4 foot tall, which confirmed by the person I'm going to vote that it would be about 4 foot tall. A 4 foot tall grey humanoid with long arms, short legs that look like they'd atrophied, and large hands. And if you look closely at the picture, you might be able to see the almond eyes and nose and mouth slits common among short greys, as well as a lack of ears. Yeah, if you squint really hard.
For those of you that want to
make out eye shapes.
For those of you that want a reference, look at the aliens in Destroy All Humans.
Yeah, or the original sectoid in the original XCOM. Like, those are pretty close.
But like budget versions.
Budget
really
versions.
budget versions.
That's why I went for the Destroy All Humans ones, because they just look like typical greys.
But yeah, this fits the description of typical short greys, the most common alien sighting with over 51 documented cases according to Wikipedia. Probably more.
Did he
And also
say...
it's at Roswell, apparently.
Yeah, those were the ones that crashed.
Oh.
Yeah, because those were the
Yeah.
That's roughly the time period that Destroy All Humans, the game, was based around. The first alien that crashed was one of the ones that they went looking for, and the reason they destroyed humanity.
That was the thing that really kicked off interest into, especially I think they're little greys anyway. But yeah, I've got to say though, he's exactly 4 foot high. Was he just measuring how high he was floating with just the alien?
Yeah.
I was about 2 aliens up.
Yeah, I'm about
I was about half an alien up, yeah.
How much did you put off the ground?
He came up to my crotch, so
And then I ran home,
then
which
the
is about
probing began.
about 1,200 aliens away.
So, gentlemen, I ask you this: Is the Ilkley Moor alien real?
Yeah, I'm a believer.
I converted you.
Yeah.
After all,
Yeah.
scientists converted it with
What I'll say for the dream-based evidence is the trouble with it is there's only one person who can really say whether or not it's true, and that's the person who dreamed it. And even then, it might just be a dream.
yeah.
And years later, giving him time to make up shit about
Well,
it.
actually, it would have been 4 months after the event. 'Cause it
Oh,
was December
okay.
97,
Bit better.
87, and then March 88 was when he went under hypnosis.
He had a fun New Year.
Oh yeah. Well, you see, I'll let you.
As much as I want to believe, I think this is a fake.
It's up for debate. It's up to debate because the scientists confirmed it was definitely 4 foot tall. It wasn't a bush of any kind because they went back to the area and there were no bushes. And well,
I beg to differ. What are these things on the side of the hill?
No 4-foot bushes. And interesting to note, Philip made no money off this. He made no money off this at all. But Philip Spencer is also a pseudonym. So perhaps it was a one-off or a hoax. Or maybe not.
Right, so how do we know he made no money off it if it's a pseudonym anyway?
Shush.
He could have made casual money off it. It could have been like a bet with mates, like, hey, try and do this alien hoax.
He made like
50
5
quid if you
quid
do
on the
it.
side.
Just a subtle fiver.
I'm gonna say 50 quid back in the 80s was a good chunk of money. To
Actually, back in the 80s, that's...
But yeah,
Really?
maybe
That's
it's
someone's
not real.
mortgage payment for a month.
Well, in 1991, Nigel Mortimer, an acclaimed local ufologist from nearby Studs Hill in Menston,
I love them already.
spoke to 2 men who, on October 5th at 5 p.m. that day, or that year, were walking near Whitewells when a 15-foot tall ball of light chased them for a quarter mile back into Ilkley in only 10 minutes. A feat that should have taken 30. Were they affected by time manipulation? Or had the Ilkley Moor aliens struck again?
No, because the disembodied
I think-
things of light are a different race of alien.
Funny when it only.
They may have been affected by certain substances.
You've got to believe me, Nigel. It was almost 4 aliens tall.
It was 4. The light was 4 grays tall.
If you told me, if you told me, we covered an area in 20 minutes, it could have taken 2 hours, then sure. But 20 instead of 30, it's like
It's only a quarter of a mile. I can believe somebody ran a quarter of a mile in 10 minutes.
yeah.
What is that, 250 meters?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Wait, no, quarter of a mile. It's
Oh, it's probably more like 300.
it's almost 1600, so it's be like it's about 400.
But yeah, that is the story of the Ilkley Moor alien. I'll take you out of a couple of facts that I wasn't able to fit in. So,
good.
in terms of Ilkley, one I couldn't work in is that there's a legend that the Cow and Calf also used to have a bull. However, the bull was mined away in the 19th century spa town boom that hit Ilkley. However, we've no evidence to back this up.
I always hate family separations.
The most painful part. The Ilkley Moor alien, as I said,
That
is the most
Rock's
common.
father went out for cigarettes and never came
He
back.
came back. He rolled off to the other side of the map.
You my rock daddy.
That is not a sentence I want to hear.
Tough.
As I said, the Ilkley Moor alien is the most common alien. There are a few others that I did a quick search and was like, oh, let's find some of the most common, interesting ones. You've got the Nordic aliens, the tall whites, which I think Corby's favourite.
They're not my favourite. My favourites are the reptilians that live in the hollow earth, Matt. Come on.
Yeah.
Ones,
well,
the
that's
ones
very
that
good.
I've had, according to you. These are ancient Earth aliens that may live underground or in the Himalayas or not.
I love the idea of just between Ilkley just going, Scandinavians! They're back! Save York! Save York!
Vikings are back! You also have tall greys, which are just slightly taller greys, as well as my favorite. This was just a random one. The Hopsville Goblin, which is a literal goblin.
Oh yeah, the Hopkinsville Goblin for a rough thing of what again? Picture Sableye from Pokemon. That's what they are based off on.
I think I've listened to a podcast about them, and they terrorized a family in a farmhouse.
Yeah, the Hopkinsville Goblins.
Yeah. Also, I just quick note: the Daily Telegraph, one of the UK's, I think it's still around in terms of paper, has listed the Ilkley Moor alien in the top 10 of the UK's UFO incidents.
That
really goes to show
because
how
there aren't that many, because they all go to fucking America.
We've got a couple of good ones, but I wouldn't consider this anywhere close to that.
No, you don't think so?
No.
Matt, can I just add to your grey law once you finish this sentence?
Cool. Do you see why I had to flesh this out with bits about Ilkley?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that now. Yeah. Thank you.
I know a lot more about Ilkley than I did.
So the fact I wanted to bring up about the greys is it was hypothesized, and I use this in the loosest term possible. The greys are more mechanical beings than the tall whites. They are beings without souls because they were created by the tall whites in order to collect semen and other things from humans to do basically their grunt work for them.
Why don't the tall whites just wear gloves?
They're tall whites, Matt. They're not going to do anything themselves.
Just like Earth.
Exactly.
Social commentary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the greys are basically their mechanical slaves.
All interconnected. Speaking of tall greys, Corby, it's your turn.
I don't know whether that's like indicting me as a tall grey, or whether you think my subject is about tall greys.
I'm having a go at your tanning.
My existence.
Or lack of tanning.
You discussed him.
My need to jack off other men.
Sure. And collect their... Yes, Corby, please start before you get carried away with your real intention.
Okay. Well, let me open up with a question, gentlemen. How much do you know about classical composers?
I know they existed.
I know probably ever so slightly more than the layman on the street.
Yeah, I know a little bit about them.
I appreciate Tchaikovsky's violence.
I know a bit about Mozart, a bit about Beethoven, a bit about the other one.
I know a bit about the other one, you know.
I know about Leonard Bernstein.
You say Leonard G?
I can't say his name correctly, but
I know about Lennon.
I know about Amadeus. I know about Mozart, all triple. Yeah.
Wagner.
It's a good thing you all know some bits about Mozart, because today's topic I have brought, he appears, but he is not for once the main being of this story. For I am not going to talk about Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. I am going to talk today about Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. I fucked that up, I think, but who cares? Shit. No, I today am going to talk about his, in air quotes, rival from back in the day.
Oh, I have heard of him.
Yes, today I'm here to talk to y'all about Antonio Salieri, Mozart's rival in air...
Question mark?
It's interesting because, well, it's mainly the relationship between the two of them that I do want to talk about, because that's why most people know of Salieri, let's be honest.
I keep thinking you're going to say Salvador Dali, I don't know why.
I also keep thinking that.
Salieri's just his surname. His first name was Antonio. Should I call him Antonio? Will it make you feel better, Matt?
I mean, then I'm thinking about Antonio Banderas, so
Take
your pick.
I can't fucking win.
Call him whatever you want.
Okay, never mind then. So, Antonio Salieri was born in... I've always fucked this up. Legnago? It's Italian, I don't know.
Legnago.
Lagnago. Legnago.
Could be a silent
Legnaggio.
G.
I don't know, somewhere in Verona in the Republic of Venice at the time.
We apologise to the Italians.
I know. I mean, I know it says it was the Republic because this was back in 1750.
Yeah.
We're doing some old topics today. But yes, he was born in... I'm going to say in Venice. Fuck it. It's just easier and everyone knows. And it helps me not pronounce Italian words. And
Your greatest rival.
yes. And from... See, I did some reading and I couldn't find a lot about him being young. All I know is that...
He came out fully burr.
No, well, no.
Fully burr. Fully
I came
grown.
out at 47.
Yeah, so from a young age, he was big into his music. He was taught by initially by his brother, who had studied under some famous violinist composer. I have the Wikipedia page open. Yeah, his brother had studied under a man by the name of Giuseppe Tartini, which is the most Italian name I've heard.
That is a very Italian name.
Where's... Well, yeah. Yep, I got nothing for that.
He sounds like he'd shake my hand and try to seduce my mother, so that's interesting.
Giuseppe
Isn't that just Italians?
Possibly.
Anyway, he said he was taught by... At first, he was taught some music theory and stuff by his brother, and he received organ lessons from the man who played basically the organ in the church. Or was it cathedral? Who gives a shit? It's Italian.
The local religious building.
Yeah. I know Salieri got into crap for some of that because he badmouthed the priest at the local church as opposed to the Grand Cathedral because he didn't like how the priest played the organ. He says it was too theatrical for what they required.
I love that. Just the idea of this priest was going...
Like Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, that's grand.
He said he wrote in. I think he says he somewhere and he wrote in his memoirs. He doesn't recall a lot from his childhood, other than he had 3 passions: music, reading, and sugar.
Ah, the passion of...
The holy trifecta.
Yep. As every kid loves. You love to read, you love to listen to music, you love to fucking eat your sweets, damn it.
Yeah.
There.
Devour them.
Yeah.
He goes to Italian coffee houses just for the bowl of sugar cubes.
What is he, a horse?
Oh, mate, if you ever... oh, God, when I went to Brown's in the particular restaurant in Leeds, they always used to have a bowl of brown sugar cubes, and I was like, oh, I used to stuff myself full of those. Those are delicious little bastards.
And I thought I was unhealthy
I
just
was-
eating the cola cubes. My
I was like,
God.
bring me more!
Would you like a starter?
I was also
sir?
a
No, just
eat
bowl
the
of
sugar
is
cube
enough.
kid.
I'll order a starter. You bring me 5 of these bowls, woman. Oh, man, I don't care. I don't care anymore. There is no gender. Only
I don't care as long as I get my glucose cubes.
Sorry, sir, we only have fructose cubes. Get the
My
fuck
sweet
out of my
treat,
sight!
So sweet to eat. Just start chanting that.
Okay. No, woman.
Be gone, thought. No.
Be gone with your fructose cubes.
Anyway.
Garden fructose female. I only desire the cubes.
Man, this Salieri that we're painting is an interesting individual.
He ain't no sugar daddy. He's a glucose guardian. That's a fucking laugh, man. Look. Right. Continue, Corby.
Anyway, around the time he was 13 or 14, a lot of this is like vaguish because they're a bit iffy on dates because it's, 1700s.
Yeah.
People wrote shit down, they just didn't date stamp it. Or at least not accurately, anyway. Around when he was about 13, 14, he lost both of his parents. It was the 1700s, so who knows what to at this
I thought
point.
you were going to say his arm.
Oh, I thought he was going to say his arms. That's why I started laughing.
Sorry, John, do you find amputees funny?
Yeah. Anyway. No. It's just we're on a very
That line, yeah.
we're on a very similar wavelength tonight, Matt.
Oh, God.
You'll see.
Anyway, yeah, so...
My brain was like, if he lost both his arms, it's even more impressive he was Mozart's rival.
Look,
Oh, Mozart
look,
did.
Beethoven couldn't hear!
Piano.
Yeah, Beethoven couldn't hear, so it's just an armless man shouting at a deaf man, and no one is getting anywhere. Classical music.
I mean, it's bad because later on he did become a music teacher and he did teach Beethoven.
Oh, no way.
Why won't you listen? Oh.
Damn, that dog's got some skills.
Get the fuck out, Matt. Anyway, so yeah, after his parents died, he went around a few. I say he went around. It was passed around after a few people looking after him until he became. He said he became a ward for a Venetian noble family, and I don't know what it means when he says he became their ward,
He
but
became a section of a house.
Yeah.
Did they kidnap him?
I don't think they did.
Essentially, you give them over for their protection and growth, but basically is an agreement that you won't fuck around with
It's
them.
essentially a very polite hostage situation. Yeah.
But both his
Yeah.
parents were dead, so there was no one to.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could also just use the ward as like a servant or help around the house.
Yeah. It's like a
Sweep up.
synonym of.
Anyway, yeah. So say he was taken in by a Venetian noble family by the name of the Mocenigo family. Mocenigo.
Okay.
Mocenigo.
They are pretty well known. I didn't have time to look into what they did, but there were some of them were doges, some of them were
Ooh.
statesmen in Venice and shit, and so they were
old
they were pretty important.
Well, yeah. Once two of them were serene doges, then that means they at least have some quite a bit of power over the development of Venice. Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, while he was living, because he had to move to Venice for all this, and while there he studied under a opera composer and organist. I always hate the word organist. It sounds a bit creepy to me, but
I'm an organist.
Yeah.
I deal with the trade.
he studied under an organist by the name of Giovanni Battista Pesetti.
Is he
Pesetti?
related to Dave?
That is a great name.
No, but it is also incredibly Italian again.
We're in Italy.
I know.
These
It's
names
just
are
like
French.
they sound like made up. It's Italian to the point where it sounds made up to me. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that.
What's your name? Giovanni Bucciaretti.
Giovanni Buccioletti. No, really.
Come on now, we're
Anyway.
serious.
He studied under Giovanni, and then it says, I don't know. The Wikipedia page is a bit obscure on everyone else's details, but apparently he died suddenly, so he had to study under someone else.
Is it because a 10-year-old kid beat him at Pokemon and he couldn't handle it?
No, Pokemon did not exist in 1760 something.
Beat him with a violin instead. I don't.
Giovanni, I have caught you. Who is the small
Anyway.
child with the furry yellow fox?
The yellow fox. What?
Mouse.
I get your feeling, Corby. It is hard to research. Like, it was a bloody pain in the ass when I was trying to.
Yeah, it's hard to look
research
into
Julie
like
Albany.
it's hard to read about one person without having to look into 50 other different people.
Yeah, and there's just not the info
Welcome
out
to
there
my
sometimes.
research time.
Yeah. Anyway, while studying under originally Giovanni and then under another opera singer, he attracted the attention of a composer by the name of Florian Leopold Gassman.
God, yes.
Gassman. His surname is Gassman.
Literally Gasman.
Okay.
Leopold was good enough, but then Gasman.
Florian Leopold Gassman.
Lorian Leopold Gasman.
Just feel like someone asked you to make up
Uh,
a fake name on the
I
spot,
belie-
and you're just like seeing
at
the
a quick-
object as your head, like.
At a quick glance at this, Matt, he is a German-speaking Bohemian opera composer.
I
He
can't,
sounds
I
like
can't do German that isn't camp.
Well, he was Bohemian. Does that help?
I'm not even gonna try. I'm
No.
gonna not...
Anyway,
Please don't.
Gassman was impressed by Antonio, and he decided to take him along with him back to Vienna, where he would again tutor and pay for all his stuff, and obviously, hopefully, take him on under his wing.
I
So-
would say so far it sounds like a series of elaborate orphan kidnappings.
which are commonplace.
Back in the 1700s, possibly. I don't know. But yeah, so they moved to Vienna in 1766. So he is 16 at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess at 14, like, I don't know, you were considered an adult back in the 1700s. I don't
You
fucking
were a
know.
man when you were 14. Back when men were men.
Yeah.
Boys were men.
Anyway,
And all people were men.
he
Back
brought
when
it.
boys, two men.
Wait, what?
It was a manly time filled with manly men.
Anyway, he took him back to Vienna, and there the Gassman taught him He educated him on the ways of, and I quote, Italian and Latin poetry, European literature, music theory, and he also decided to teach him German while he was there because, it'd probably do him some favours.
Probably helpful.
He was German, it would help with the language barrier.
Yeah. Anyway, moving further on into later 1766, if I've got these dates right, let me just double check this with the Wikipedia page. Yep. Okay. Wow, it is actually in the same year.
Is anyone else thinking how white Corby's face was just?
It's big, Matt. It's literally because I have my Word document open and the other thing.
You leant closer into Wikipedia and it just became white skin with giant eyes. And like, oh my god, it's a tall white in my head.
It does the same with me. I can flick it on and
I'm a
off.
grey, Matt. How dare you? Anyway, later on in 1766, Gassman brought him to what was called back in the day as a chamber music performance. Now, for those of you that don't know, a chamber music back in the day was basically, you got like 10 classical musicians together in a room and they all played music together.
Oh, damn. So it's a big old jamming session.
Yes. And Gassman brought him to one of these, hosted by Emperor Joseph II of Austria.
Oh, just a casual hosting, buddy.
Just a few friends.
Yeah.
Why, hello there. Would you like to get in with the jamming session?
I don't know what it doesn't specify like what he played, but I'm assuming, I don't know. As I say,
The Emperor, let him play what he wants.
yeah. Well, not the Emperor, I meant Salieri.
No, I know.
It doesn't specify what Salieri played or whether he just I don't know, conducted or some
feel
shit.
like-
I don't know.
That's like the equivalent of being invited to like a band session today and Vladimir Putin's just there with a bass guitar.
I would love if he went to a jam session and it's just Vladimir Putin on the bongos, because I know he would go into it. He would get into that.
Vladimir
He would feel
Putin
the
as
rhythm of
Bongo
Vladimir
Cat.
Putin. Yeah. It's like, it'd be great.
Casting we all want to see.
Well, Vladimir Putin is Bongo Cat.
Yep.
He played bongos for 2.5 hours. He never broke eye contact.
His eye contact was so strong that he maintained he made you maintain the eye contact.
I found myself looking at him uncontrollably.
Mesmerized me with his bongo powers.
Anyway,
I don't know what he played, only
while
that it
this was
soothed
going
my
on, his
suffering
clo-
soul.
While this was going on, his clothes were just sliding off him without him actually doing it.
Like a snake jam with his own clothes. Shit.
And
Anyway.
all along, Vladimir was stood before me entirely nude.
Anyway, Tom, do go on
I'm
before this continues.
I'm just having a quick read into
It's
Joseph
absolutely
II just to see like what kind of guy he was, because he's got some interesting thoughts later down the line. It says it was the Holy Roman Emperor from 1765 and sole ruler of the Habsburg lands from November 1780 until his death. He was
How
the
good was
eldest son
the-
of Empress Maria Theresa and her husband, Emperor
He
Francis
has an amazing
II.
chin. I'm gonna get a picture of him. His chin is legendary.
Well, the fucking
Oh my
Habsburgs
God.
Francis
had a
the
really
First,
long
or-
chin anyway because of the.
I've just
Well, they
looked at the
inbreed him.
pictures in the Discord. Why is there a dancing green
There
alien?
isn't. There isn't, Matt.
It is.
That's Ilkley Moor alien. Don't you get it?
Can you just tell me his name again, Tom?
Which one? The current emperor? The
Yeah,
one I'm talking
yeah.
about? Joseph
Okay.
II. The Holy Roman Emperor. That will be the Wikipedia page you're looking for. Also, the picture on there is magnificent of him.
Oh, that lad.
Yes, him with the chin.
I mean, all of them had chins, Matt.
It was the Habsburg chin. Oh, John got that before me, the bastard.
Yeah.
But it was like the Habsburg thing, the Habsburg jaw. Like all the Habsburgs just have these incredible chins.
Through years of inbreeding. But-
years of inbreeding.
I mean, he can't read or write, and he barely can strung a coherent thought together. His arms don't work right, but goddamn it, that chin.
Oh shit! Apparently, it says here he's been ranked with Catherine the Great of Russia and Frederick the Great of Prussia as one of the 3 great Enlightenment monarchs.
Yeah, he was around when stuff went down.
Yeah, he was. Okay, he was one of the
You said
big.
he was
He was one of the big men. Yeah.
Bloody big. Jesus.
But he started the Enlightenment stuff in the late 1700s, and then when it all kicked off in 1840, you know, that was a thing.
Anyway, back to Salieri, who when he turned up, like he honestly impressed the emperor, and the emperor turned to Gassman and says, "Look, you can feel free to bring him back. He's a good lad. He's good at what he does."
Good lad, loyal lad.
Anyway, also while he was there, he met a couple of other musicians. The only one I can see who is important to this story later on is a a composer by the name of Christoph Willibald Gluck.
That was great until his
Willibald.
surname.
Gluck.
Yeah, Gluck. Gluck.
Gluck.
Where was he from, out of curiosity? Was a composer of Italian and French opera, born in the Upper Palatinate and raised in Bohemia.
Oh, okay. I know where that is, thanks to EU4.
I know. It's the only reason I know half of these places. Anyway, few years later, by 1770, he'd apparently finished writing his first opera. So he was,
So when he was
20?
20? That's
He was 20. He'd finished his first opera.
I mean, it's no Mozart.
Oh, we'll fucking get there. Don't worry. So yeah, all we know is he wrote this. I don't think it survived the test of time. I think it's lost in the years. Although this,
Oh, like literally, not just it hasn't, not just it sounds bad now.
no, it's like we lost the music. We lost the sheet music or whatever.
It's down the back of the couch, and we don't know where the couch
Literally
is.
lost.
Yeah. Anyway, he went on and continued composing for quite some time. Some of the major ones and operas he wrote, I think the big one during his early years was a opera called Armida, which is a opera set during the First Crusade. I'm not big into opera, so I'm just talking shite.
Fair enough.
Although a lot of people seem to think
Oh,
like
what the fuck are you doing?
that was one of his only serious operas, but he was more known for being like a comedy writer, I guess. A lot of people were a bit, because there's a bit later on where he was asked to do something because Gluck had fucked up and not actually written it, and so they called Salieri in to cover his ass, and they were a bit just like, look, can this kid write something serious? And he did, and it was great, and it was fine, and he saved his ass and actually put on a good show in Paris,
Nice.
the home of the opera.
So he was doing opera in Paris.
That's later on down the line. I just need to talk about some of these other things. So yeah, he worked on a lot of these operas. The only one I do want to touch on is a opera. Well, it says here it is a Commedia de Musica. So I'm assuming it's
Comedy music.
yeah,
Musical comedy.
Ooh, you wanna
called
be-
La Fiera da Venezia, or the Fair of Venice.
Ooh.
And it says here that it was, to quote the Wikipedia page article I was reading on, it included an innovative scene that combined a series of onstage dances with singing from both solo protagonists and from the chorus. No one thought to do singing and dancing before now.
Really? You kidding?
That's what I'm inferring from that. That's probably not what it means, but Salieri
Sounds like that's it.
was like one of the first ones to make it popular.
He made the original musical.
Yeah.
The first musical.
Guess who did it
Sounds
better?
Mozart.
Yeah.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Is it a certain Wolfgang Amadeus?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get to that because that's where the conspiracy part of this episode kicks in.
Oh, conspiracy.
Yeah. Anyway, from between 1770 towards 1777, I need to get this right. Yeah. Due to financial mismanagement, the Italian opera company where Antonio had been working and put in charge of, Joseph II decided, all right, from now on, we don't want you to promote Italian opera and French-spoken dramas, and for some reason the ballet. We want you to promote what they call, what is it? German language plays.
Yeah, they're trying to make it
Yeah.
more.
German language is not conducive to that.
German language plays and musical productions that reflected Austrian, or as Joseph II put it, German values and traditions. Propaganda!
Everybody get your lederhosen and flans ready.
I mean, they replaced the,
Only Beowulf from now on.
they did replace the opera with what was known as a German language Singspiel troupe.
Singspiel.
Singspiel.
Like that.
Singspiel. That's what they were called.
That is a very
Much like
fun
German
word.
language shit, I do actually like it. Fucking Singspiel.
It is just Singspiel. I just put the extra H in there for some reason. It is Singspiel. And
we're doing the Singspiel today, Hans.
now this obviously Salieri was a bit pissed off at this because he'd made his work doing Italian operas, being Italian or Latin operas, because Italian, and while he was taught German by Gassman, he didn't like. It wasn't like a second language to him. He still struggled with some of it. Yeah. So kind of was like out on his ass for a bit. So what happened is he went. Actually, when I said about that Gluck man and how he likes to fuck up.
Yeah.
It says it here in 1778. He was offered to do one of his operas in Milan and I guess around Italy, and he turned that down. So in his place, Salieri went and promoted some of his work. There's a theme of Salieri being called in when someone else says no.
We need the fixer.
Salieri, he's free, right? We just shut his opera company down. He's free. He's out on work.
We call him the understudy.
They keep shutting down his opera company whenever they need a replacement. It's like, quickly, shut his
Not bad.
opera company down.
Hey, you're not doing anything. Want the money? Yeah.
Yeah, so he went on tour around Italy
Who
doing
says
his
I'm not
opera
doing
for 2
anything?
years.
Well,
So,
are you?
he just did. It's called on here as Italian tour, and I find it very hard to believe that an opera company went on tour in the 17th. That's because I have a dumb idea of what a tour is, because...
I know, I'm imagining a modern day tour, but I guess they would have just gone around the big cities. And
Yeah, like Milan is the big... Milan was the big one that...
It'll be the second bigger one around now,
no,
won't it?
not Gluck, that Gluck was asked to do.
He got his Glock.
Oh no, Gluck's got a Glock.
Gluck's got a clock and he's aiming at the clock.
So yeah, he went...
We're royally foxed.
So yeah, he did. He went to Milan to do it, and then after because the emperor led him, and then I also did some stops in Venice and Rome, and then he went back to Milan for another few years, and then
So basically, it's like a tour in inverted commas where he went to.
He hit up the 3 big Italian cities at the time.
Yeah.
Milan.
German Singspiel.
I don't think he was doing Singspiel at that time because he came back in '81 and wrote a Singspiel.
Yeah, wasn't he travelling to try and avoid doing the German nonsense?
Yeah, well, he didn't want to do it, but obviously once he knew he returned back to Vienna, he probably would have to in order to make a living.
Yeah.
Of which he did return and write one Singspiel.
Singspiel.
It's past tense of Singspiel. It's a Singspiel.
To my Singspiel.
You're not sounding more and more Dutch.
Once a Singspiel's been Sunspiel, then it's a Sangspiel.
I'm gonna copy paste this word into y'all. Just see if you can guess what it's called.
While we have our
That was the Singspiel that he wrote. What do you think that translates to?
The Rackfankera?
Policeman.
No. Any other...
The emperor, or like, maybe not emperor, but some sort of noble title?
No. John, do you have any ideas?
It's something.
It is.
What? What did he say?
I was say, do you know what this word means?
No, it's... I know it's a I think it's a position, but I don't know what the hell it is.
According to...
Is it rank and file?
No, according to this, his one German Singspiel, I can't even pronounce it. Someone else do it. Rackfankera, also translated to the chimney sweep.
Oh, is it Chitty Chitty Bang Bang's original rendition?
Hold on, I could open the Wikipedia page, but it's an opera in 3 acts. Blah blah blah. I don't. No, never mind. Yeah, so he premiered that, started writing it in 1780, and it came out in 1781. Now, during this time, there were only 2 popular Singspiels.
No.
The Chimney Sweep by Antonio Salieri, and The Abduction from the Seraglio, even.
Oh dear. Yeah.
By one Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
9!
So yeah, Mozart's Mozart's published his in 1782, and according to the tales, only one of these were carried on being played into the 18th century. Guess which one stuck around? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it the chimney sweep?
Chimney sweep.
The Rackfankera.
I mean, it's a catchy name. I don't see why it didn't catch on.
Yeah. Anyway, as I say, around this time after he'd written these and these two had gone out, it was in like the like 83, 84, where, as I kind of foreshadowed, Gluck had fucked up and not actually written something for the Paris Opera.
What?
Paris Opera,
What?
so they had to call in Salieri to
I
write
don't
something
get
for him.
I don't get if your whole profession is an opera writer and you're told to write this ahead of time, that you just don't. Like, I think if you get to that position where
Sorry,
you've written
lads.
a couple...
I forgot to do the one thing that I meant to do.
Yeah. Fucking hell.
He's just got a very bad job.
It says here, the original commission in that it reached Salieri in 1783 to 84 was to assist Gluck in finishing a work for Paris that had been all but completed. But in reality, Gluck had failed to notate any of the score of the new opera and gave the entire project over to his young friend.
So what we've established here is that Gluck fucked up.
Gluck's a fuck.
Yep.
Yeah, to be fair, like, Salieri got a lot of these opportunities because Gluck fucked up.
Because Gluck fucked up.
So he's like, in one hand, like, he's real bad, but on the other hand, he's doing his friend a good solid here.
It was all part of the plan.
Yeah. Anyway, this is around the times where some not so savoury rumours were starting, possibly spread about by Mozart and Mozart's father, whose name I've forgotten, that and I quote...
Mr. Mozart.
Please, Mr. Mozart is my father.
That I quote, a cabals were working under Salieri to conspire Mozart's works not being published.
Dun 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 dun.
I love the word cabal. It's such a good word because it implies like a network of secret members. The Italians are trying to undermine Mozart. Stop them.
There's at least 3 of them.
Yeah, at least.
It's that dastard Gluck.
I mean, like, some of these surfaced in, like, the early 1780s and, like, into the mids.
Right.
And I think they only stopped in, like, the mid-1780s is because after he spent 2 years in Paris fixing Gluck's fuck-ups, he came back to Vienna where he actually had his first professional encounter with Mozart. And believe it or not, they actually got on surprisingly well.
A wild Mozart.
It's worse when you get on with them, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you get on with someone who's just have to deal with just their work is consistently outperforming yours and stuff like this, and you actually like him. It's like, oh, I actually like him. Shit.
And they're not
What
even
a
an asshole,
bastard.
so you can't.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and so he came after his Italian tour and also he basically came back, just carried on writing operas until like 1788, where after I believe Gassman died. Well, Gassman died a bit sooner, but after he basically replaced him as the how do I pronounce that? Because it's German. I fucking hate it. Kapellmeister.
Ooh.
The Kapellmeister.
Head of the company.
Yeah, head of music, basically. He became the Kapellmeister of the Imperial Chapel, of which basically Salieri became the one in charge of the as I say, the Imperial Chapel. So
Right.
pretty big, important role. Let's be honest.
How old is he at this point?
This was in 1788, and he was
So
born.
he'll be what, 38?
Yeah, 38. He's like middle-aged. He's doing surprisingly well for his thing, but
That's
Yeah.
not bad.
anyway, yeah, he continued writing operas up until I think it was like 1804 where he finished his where he basically gave up writing and basically just carried on teaching. To which, as I've said, where he taught not Wolfgang. He didn't. Technically, he did
Beethoven.
teach. He taught Mozart's son for a brief while. I know that much. But he did teach, as I say, Beethoven and several of the others. So, and yeah, there's a whole lot of things that went down, none of which are massively interesting. The main thing I want to look into, as I said, was the relationship between Salieri and Mozart. Because I don't know if you know a lot about Mozart.
He was a prick.
I mean, yes, but like
I vaguely recall seeing the film Amadeus at some point,
Don't know how.
but I've forgotten
Amadeus
most of
is.
it.
I don't know much about him other than he wrote some fairly okay stuff and yeah, that was about it. He was there. He did things.
Well, It's obviously
Real
because due to the rumors that like there was the secret cabal of working under Salieri against Mozart. Obviously, Mozart died in, I forget how early it was, but he definitely died youngish in
He was
hindsight.
like, I really hope he died at the age of 27 and we can put him in the 27 club or whatever it is.
Hold on, let me just look Mozart.
No, he won't. He won't. He must
Wolfgang
be older.
Amadeus Mozart.
He died
56 to 91.
Oh yeah, so he was like 30 something.
Yeah, early, mid 30s.
Yeah.
I'll do math.
35. He was 35 when he died.
Yeah.
35, yeah.
Which, in hindsight, was young, but I don't know.
It's young to us, but I don't know how that would translate to the time. Middle-aged, I guess.
Well, I mean, Salieri lived
Yeah.
until. Hold on, what
I think
was it?
35 will still be counted as middle-aged.
Yeah.
So, I think just the definitions of that.
Salieri lived to 75, so
Good innings.
he lived to 1825.
Damn.
So yeah,
So he lived through
At
the
least he got that.
Wars, that's nice.
Yeah.
yeah, but I'd say there was some unsavory rumors about Salieri after Mozart died.
Wasn't a fan of crisps.
How can you rumor monger from the grave? Fair
No,
enough.
after Mozart died.
Hopefully.
The rumors, the
yeah.
rumors spread that Mozart had apparently, well, not Mozart, that Mozart had been poisoned by Salieri. You see, as you know, when I mentioned the whole singing and dancing thing that he did early in his career, that Mozart did better.
The sing spiel.
Singspiel.
No, the one before that, where he
No,
the one where I said
music
no one
and-
thought to
Oh,
do
yeah,
musicals
no.
before
Oh, the
The
Salieri.
first musical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mozart did it better. So yeah, there was a whole lot of like, people started rumors that like, by the way, Salieri had poisoned him. He was just a bit jealous of him, despite the fact that she still had it pretty good, all things considered.
He was jealous that he wasn't Mozart.
I mean, I don't know if y'all know what Amadeus means. Amadeus is a Latin term that means gifted by God.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's God in the term, so yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Technically,
That's going to give an
Matthew-
ego to someone.
Technically, Matthew is the Hebrew for gift of God. Right. Just bragging there.
Mm.
God is gracious.
Ooh.
I think
Which doesn't affect anything about
Tom
me.
or
Just
Thomas.
hey, God's all right.
I think Tom or Thomas means twin.
which is why there are
I
two
just-
of us. Tom.
Neither of us are twins, but there are two of us on this podcast.
My brain is not in the right mindset because the moment you said the letter T, my brain went twat.
Fuck off. But yeah, as I was saying, there was
This
Because-
post made by Matt and John Gang.
Made by the fact gang.
So yeah, there was the whole thing of like, he was jealous of Mozart, because he was gifted. Let's be honest, like, Salieri had to do a lot of
Turned off.
hard work to get where he was, and Amadeus.
Salieri had the hustle,
Yeah.
whereas Wolfgang.
Well, Amadeus also had the hustle, but he was also naturally gifted, and that gave him an edge that Salieri just didn't have and could arguably never have.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people pictured that as, like, Salieri forming some form of jealousy and anger towards him. Not true in the slightest. As I say, back when, in, like,
Yeah.
the early 17 to early 1800s, they did arguably work together. And when he was elected for the not the Singspiel, what was it called? No,
Singspiel.
there are too many German phrases in this. The Kapellmeister. When
Kapellmeister.
he
Kapellmeister.
the I think there was a thing where you arguably have to put forward your own
Candidate.
or no, like your own composition or whatever.
Yeah.
And instead of like trying to recognize like greatness of like any of his own works, he put forward Mozart's Figaro,
Ooh.
which slaps. But
It does, yeah.
for those of you that haven't heard Figaro, you'll have heard Figaro. It's a good.
It's one of those things that you've heard and just won't remember.
I find that a lot with classical music. I couldn't tell you who wrote them or thingy, but that comes on and it's like,
Oh yeah.
oh, this is that famous classical piece.
The big
Yeah.
problem is that you can't Google the lyrics.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Other than
Well,
I know
also-
one man in the middle of it goes Figaro, Figaro, Figaro.
Yeah, thing.
But it's like
Which
that's one of
song
my
goes
personal
da,
favorite.
da,
One of my
da?
personal favorite things is listening to classical music but turned metal. I absolutely love it.
Mm.
It works. I think just the
Because
patterns go well.
there is a reason for
Yeah.
why metal works so well with classical music.
To an extent, it follows the
Yeah,
same.
they're very similar.
And that reason is the
construction.
devil.
Satan! Get your hands off my organ!
Yeah, but as I was saying, they
No. Can't.
Satan's canonically a drummer. How dare you?
It's like, no, Sean. Just like... I think about that. Probably is what the devil sounds like. Anyway. Yes.
Anyway, as I was saying, so this Sally, well, I don't even know where I was. They were, despite what all the rumors and things, they worked together fairly well. Obviously, with Salieri being the elder of the two, more like a role model, I guess, to Mozart, who probably took some pages from his book and worked on his own material, and it was obviously way better received and remembered by humanity.
And that's gonna be the way to
Meanwhile-
start as well, isn't it?
Meanwhile, Salieri was kind of just left back in the 1700s.
Yeah, it's one of those unfortunate things. Like, if you work or create a piece of artwork or whatever at the same time as someone else who is just so good, like you're always going to be overshadowed and not intentionally forgotten, but usually end up as like a side note or a footnote alongside the big thing.
Unfortunately, that's mostly what Salieri was
perpetual
remembered
second
as, like
Yeah.
the side hustle to. He's often remembered as Mozart's rival, as opposed to being like a
Even
good
though
composer.
they weren't rivals. It's interesting how that works.
Anyway, as I say, he died in 1825. Does he say what of?
Death.
What was he? Was he 80 something?
Resentment.
It said Salieri was committed to medical care and suffered dementia for the last year and a half of his
Oh.
life.
Ah.
That's not good. 1800s asylum is not good.
I mean, at least it was only a year.
Year and a half.
Mm. Just keeps on getting worse all the time.
A year? Shit.
I'm just looking at the fictional treatments of how people portrayed Salieri and how he was referenced in other materials. Now, as Thomas
Yeah.
said, Amadeus is probably the big one.
I don't know how accurate Amadeus is. So there's a YouTube channel I
Not
watch.
very.
Yeah, that's why I'm pretty sure it's not very accurate. There's a YouTube channel I watch called History Buffs, and he takes historical movies, and basically says if they're accurate or not. And I'm pretty sure he tore Amadeus to shreds.
Yeah,
That's
because
fair.
because from memory, it depicts Salieri as the jealous rival character as opposed to what he actually was, a good co-worker.
I suppose that's what it takes, though, for a movie thing to actually like portray any kind of real plot. Otherwise, it's like these two guys, they wrote operas and they wrote music and they got along together, and that's it.
Holy shit! I need to
It's
see.
like
I've just read one that I need to read out for y'all and that we need to look into.
Right.
In 1985, in the production of The Mozart Inquest, Patrick Stewart played Salieri.
Oh.
Huh.
Yes.
Interesting.
Everyone loves
Look
Patrick.
into that.
Gotta love Sir Patrick.
I do not like Sir Patrick.
I feel like he would probably complain if Salieri wasn't done right, so to speak. He feels like a man who probably would know about this.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He seems like an educated fellow.
Yeah.
A man of great knowledge and manners.
I just remember him running around with a sword and a dog in Dune, and I love it.
Oh my god, that was a weird laugh.
There's been a couple of those this episode. I like it. I like it.
Anyways, there was a Russian composer,
You
Nikolai.
better slow down then.
No, Nikolai Korosov adapted. He adapted a play just named Mozart and Salieri, as well as an opera of the same name. So,
All right.
obviously, like with the rumors going around, it became like a whole big thing of like the rivalry between Mozart and Salieri. As I said, sadly, he was more known for his rivalry with someone else as opposed to his own talents. I feel bad for the man.
I love the idea of Mozart and Salieri.
Where's
just
the
meeting.
respect for the chimney sweep?
Yeah, exactly.
Think of the
Where's the
Sting
recognition?
I love the idea of Mozart and Salieri just meeting and hi, hello, and just someone else going, oh, it's fucking kicking off in here! And just like, that's basically what's happening in this.
Like they're two wrestlers about to meet up for like a smack talk before a match, and they just get on really well.
Hey, you want to go see a movie? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I really want. Just like.
What inspired you to look into this, Corby?
I'm curious. Yes.
You're gonna hate me for this. So,
Here we go.
yep, because it all trails back to Steins Gate.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
I knew it was coming.
Of course
I knew
it
it was
does.
coming.
In Steins Gate Zero, there's an AI they've invented called Amadeus, which basically is using the memories of one of the characters from the first game, Makase Kurisu. Spoilers,
Right.
she died at the end of Steins Gate.
What?
Didn't she die at the start of Steins Gate 2? Isn't that the point?
I mean, yes, this is set. Steins Gate Zero is set after a future where they couldn't save Makase Kurisu.
Time
Right.
travel.
Yeah. So the Amadeus was the AI program that she was working on while away in America, and
Yeah.
they called it the Amadeus project because the two scientists that were working on it, Makase Kurisu and a one Maho Hyojo, a 21-year-old lolly.
Oh god.
Then basically they assigned their own usernames as Mozart and Salieri to the thing because Kurisu was the 16-year-old genius who basically was. She came to America to study at a university at 16. It's fucking talented as hell. And Maho, who was basically. She wasn't bad. She came to study America like at a usual time and she was well versed. However, she was overshadowed by Kurisu and her ergo thought of herself as Salieri. And it's like a whole running thing that they've got going on where it's just she's the Mozart and Kurisu's the Mozart and she's the Salieri. I know you all will sigh at that, but the dynamic they have is well written.
Yeah,
What?
at least that's something.
Maho is my favourite Steins Gate character, so
You see, Mum, you can learn things from anime.
from a 21-year-old lolly. And as my segment there comes to an end, I must inform you that we have decided to split this special into 2 parts again, because the whole thing was 3 hours long and we decided not to subject you to it all in one go. If you're listening to this, the day goes up, the next part will hopefully be up tomorrow. And if you're listening to this at some time other than that, well, you know where the button to go next is, don't you?